welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda and I'm here today with a book review. I am going to be talking about Beyond That, the Sea by Laura Spence-Ash. So this is a debut novel and it's about two families. It begins during World War II. I want to stress now that if you are someone such as myself who is sick of World War II historical fiction, I do want to say I don't consider this World War II historical fiction. It just happens to be historical fiction that part of it takes place during World War II. The war itself does not play a big part, but it is the catalyst for this book. So there's a family in England that has a daughter named Beatrix, and they have decided that they live in London, that it is not safe to keep Beatrix in London. Many parents made this decision. The father, Reggie, also feels that she would not even be safe if they had sent her to the English countryside. So they arranged to send her to the United States, while he and his wife, Millie, remain behind in London. So Beatrix goes and she lives with a family in the Boston area. So I know this sounds like the setup of a horrible family issue where she's with this terrible family, but she isn't. She's with this wonderful family. And it's a parent. The father is like a headmaster. The mother came from old money, although the family itself is middle-ish class. And then they have two sons. One's older than B and one's younger. And this, after she settles in, and it does take some time to settle in because she's been sent out by herself to live in a foreign country. So it takes a while for her to settle in, but once she settles in, she realizes that what a wonderful life this has. And while she has guilt and some anger towards her parents for being sent to the United States during the war away from them, she also is very grateful for the life that she has. But as we know, the war does end and Bea has to go back to England. So then once again, she has to go through the settling process. And but her life is already entwined with her family from America. And the rest of this book follows the sort of ebbs and flows of that relationship and how things change. There are some romantic entanglements. I'm not going to get too far into the plot because I want you to read this book. I actually really enjoyed this book. But this is a wonderful coming of age story with some really well done characters. This is a book, like so many books these days, that are told through multiple viewpoints. It is done well in this case. There are, I believe, eight different viewpoints that you hear from. Each one has a distinct voice, which I do appreciate. And it gives us each a different side of the story. And so let me tell you what I did like. I loved the characters. I loved Bea. I loved William, who is the older brother, who is sort of the golden child. And there are expectations for him, although he does not want to live his life according to those expectations. And then there's Gerald, the younger brother, who is very kind-hearted and idolizes Bea. There are her parents, her biological parents, Millie and Reggie. And then there are her American parents, the G's, she calls them the G's. There's Nancy and Ethan. And she's very close to all of them. I loved the sense of place in New England. I lived in New England for a while. It's not a place that I have strong ties to. I've never felt a desire to return there, especially, but gosh darn it, if this book did not make me homesick for New England. And that in itself is quite the accomplishment. I loved that. The two places that they tend to be in New England are in the Boston area where they live, but then they also have a house on an island. They have their own island in Maine. And Spence-Ash just brings those to life. Like, I would do anything to go live there. It was so idyllic and so beautiful. The story itself is very character driven, which I do like. And the characters work psychologically. You understand their motives. You understand what's going on. There are things that happen in this book that if they were not handled correctly, could come off very much like a soap opera. But they are handled with such care that they just make sense and they work and it's beautiful. And I was sucked in. So what didn't I like about this book? There's only a couple things. In the second part of the book, after the war, there were parts of the book that I felt dragged a little bit. It didn't have the same sort of let's just say the pace slowed down during these parts. And I wish that it had kept up or it had been edited a little bit differently to kind of keep up with the pace. The other thing I noticed is that while there is this amazing sense of place when the story is in New England, that sense of place is missing when the story is in England. And I would have liked there to be that as well. I felt a little bit cheated that we didn't get that when B was back in England. But still, overall, I really enjoyed this book, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who enjoys historical fiction or coming of age novels. This is a debut, as I said, so I only look forward for even better things from Laura Spence-Ash in the future. I gave this book an A. I do recommend it. And again, that is Beyond That, The Sea by Laura Spence-Ash. Thank you very much for joining me for this review. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'll see you the next time. Thank you very much.